Our next guest is an ordinary mum who became a real estate mogul. 2 years ago, Lieu took the plunge into property investment. Now she says she's worth millions of dollars. She's a busy working mum turned accidental real estate baron. 2 years ago, Linda and her husband owned their own home and one investment property, which they bought 16 years back. Today, they say they own 20 properties in a portfolio worth $6 million. Linda was always interested in the game, but says life got in the way.
It's something that we've always wanted to do. But I guess we just didn't have the courage to take that next step to go forward.
Linda's first step was to take a job with a property investment company. Her boss has always worked his way up from nothing.
Quite achievable. If I was 18, buying my first property, I had no, golden spoon in my mouth to be able to help me. Anyone can do it.
Nathan Birch says he now owns nearly 200 investment properties, something for Linda to aspire to.
It's an addiction, but it's a very healthy addiction. We're doing it for our future.
All right, Linda and Nathan, join us now. Good morning to you both. Linda, how did you build the portfolio?
We built our portfolio with the assistance of Nathan and his company, the buyers agency. They assisted us in finding properties that are sold below market value with neutral to positively geared and in areas on the upside of growth.
So it's valued at $6 million. What's your debt against the $6 million? How much have you borrowed to get there?
Probably, I think all up, about $4 million.
Four. So that's a big thing to carry $4 million in debt. Do you get scared with that?
Absolutely. But having said that, all the properties we have purchased, they're all neutral to positively geared. So they're all paying for themselves.
Yeah, as long as they don't go down in value and aren't vacant. But
that's right.
They're the big risks, aren't they?
That's right.
Okay. Nathan, I must admit I do get uncomfortable doing stories like this at a time like this, because usually this is ringing the bell at the top of the market.
Appreciate that.
Your job is to flog property to people and hold seminars and tell them how to buy property.
Not necessarily.
You've got a vested interest.
From my side, I started buying properties at the age of 18, and I've seen the market where it's through the boom of 2003 and when it plunged backwards from there. However, looking at Linda's strategy and looking at the strategy that I adopt in property investing, it's important to make sure that we buy properties that are below market value. So we've got a buffer in place and an exit strategy in case something turns backwards. So if we're buying a property that's worth $250 for 200, picking up 50,000 below market value, if it steps back 10%.
That is the best strategy to buy in the cycle. I must admit, having a look at some of Linda's properties, they're in Moree, they're in Cairns region, Queensland, and I found it a bit hard when I looked at not necessarily the cost base, because you obviously bought them at that price, but how much they've gone up.
Yeah.
I talked to a couple of real estate agents in Moree and just told them your figures, and they couldn't believe it. Moree hasn't been great in terms of increases in real estate values.
With it, we don't try and time the market as far as buying properties at a certain hotspot or a bubble or anything like that. The bulk of Linda's properties are in Sydney or in the metro sort of areas. So, for example, Central Coast being Arimba,
Port Macquarie,
those sorts of things.
Okay, that's not really Sydney, but around Cairns
there's a few
well, there. A couple, Moree, 2 there, wasn't there? So not really in not skewed towards capital cities where the big growth has been.
Looking from Linda's side of things, like picking up the properties that she picked up, I'm just trying to think back through, for example, Cairns, which she bought for $183,000, I think it was. They were selling for $305,000 5 years ago.
I do get worried. I do get worried because we talked about the biggest monthly gain in property prices, mainly capital cities, in 18 years, the recent figures. Reserve Bank says they're worried about increases in property prices. There's thousands of new properties coming on the market, a 100%. Massive surge in supply in the next 12 months. And I worry that people will see your story, Linda, and say, I've got to get into property now, when in fact they probably should be waiting. Would you say buy now or wait?
I'd say personally, from my side of things, buy in line with your goals and in line with your strategy. I've bought properties every year since I was able to sign a contract for my 18th birthday. However, the most important thing is not getting caught up in any hype of the media or anything like that. I believe personally that Sydney's market's gone up a fair bit, if we look at Sydney in general. However, I think there's probably a little bit more in it, but having the crystal ball, the water's a bit murky in it.
And Linda, you've got to have an appetite for debt, don't you? Right, 6 million in property, 4 billion in debt.
When you put it that way, it is scary.
Yeah.
But having said that, when we started this journey, we didn't know we were going to be where we are today. We only wanted to buy 1 to 2 properties a year so that we can start building a portfolio for our retirement. Luckily, we found Nathan, who was able to assist us in doing what we're doing. At the end of the day, you know, it's not a race. We're just here to do it slowly and making sure the properties that we're buying are suitable for us and we can pay the debt. And by the time we retire, that's right, by the time we retire, we've got a nest egg and inspire our kids to do what we're doing when they're old enough.
Okay. Nice to meet you both. Good
Thanks,
on you.
Goshi.